as LLC. So let's welcome them on the stage. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. For those who do not know me, I'm Christiana Aristidou, founder and CEO of the Hybrid Lawtech Firm. And I have with me here today two of my best colleagues, I would say, Savina Miltiadous from Ginanis Law Firm and Panagiotis Kouzis from Pelagias and Brahas Law Firm, esteemed law firms. And Savina and Panagiotis are also members of the Technology Committee of the Cyprus Bar Association, for which I am the president. Personally, I also represent Cyprus in the ISO. This is the International Standardization Organization for Technologies. Today, the discussion will be, as we have chosen it to be, and the topic suggests, it will be about blockchains. I'm not sure if you have heard about blockchains, but I'm sure for one thing, that if you haven't heard about blockchains, you will have, most of you will have to deal with it very soon. So I would love to see your commitment here, because I want to share with you that I wouldn't like to see anyone leaving this room today without knowing what is blockchain. But before we go on, I would like to pose to you this question. Who would tell me from you, who would tell us what is Internet? Does anyone know what is Internet? No one, but you do use it a lot. So it's very similar to what we see with blockchains and what is going to happen with blockchains. So before we go on and explain why I pose this question, I would like to mention something that happened during the last couple of weeks. Almost 2 weeks ago, Cyprus withdrew this bill for blockchains that was called DLT law bill. So they claimed that it contained a few unconstitutional clauses. So what I want to share, and if you Google this, you will see a few of my articles in the press, is that the fact that this bill was withdrawn doesn't change anything for Cyprus, really. Because we get so many, as the guys will share with you here today, we get so many regulatory frameworks for blockchains and that support its legitimacy, of course. And we do have strong legal foundations today in Cyprus and in Europe for blockchains. So first of all, this is what I wanted you to know, because maybe you have come across relevant articles in the press or comments or anything, and maybe behind your mind you have what is going on with this blockchain. Is it legal? Why did they withdraw the bill? I'm sure they will revisit it. First of all, because they do not have choice. So they will do it. They will revisit the DLT law. So, okay then, that's for an intro.
Thank you, Christiana. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So I agree with Christiana that the withdrawal does not mean that blockchain is not does not have any application in our businesses. So, Christiana, can you please let us know some how can blockchain be used in the industry? We hear many things about tokenization, for example, nowadays. So, could you please share with us some insights?
Okay, so let us educate you a little bit. It will be interesting. So in 2008-9, we saw this Bitcoin thing. This Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. Behind this Bitcoin, we get this technology called blockchain. So since 2009, we went through an evolution on blockchains. So we saw many cryptocurrencies, not only Bitcoin. So you understand that blockchain enables the creation of these kind of coins, like Bitcoin, like Cardano, like XRP, like all of these coins you see on the exchanges. These are called payment tokens. These coins, because they are used to exchange them for value. But during the evolution of blockchains, and because it is an open source, let's say software kind of thing, it's an algorithm, open source. What does this open source mean? It's there, out there, you can use it. It's not patented. So the inventor gave it to the world. So what we get now during the evolution is that we discovered with blockchains, we discovered that we can create more types of coins. But we don't call them coins, we call them tokens. So the cryptocurrencies, we use them to pay. We call them payment tokens. But now we can set up tokens with the use of blockchains, which are actually, what is a token? It's an algorithm. It says tiny smart contract. It is programmable. That is why we talk about programmable society today. That is why we talk about tokenization, because these are tokens. Tokens, tokenization. How we do the tokens? You know, ization behind a word denotes some process, okay? So we can get anything from the digital world or the real world, and we can tokenize it. By doing what? Linking it to this algorithm that we program, the technologies program. So in this token now, instead of seeing just a value like Bitcoin, we managed to create other types of tokens that inside them have shares, have assets, have agreements. Why are you laughing? Have agreements, they can have anything, okay? So anything you can imagine can be tokenized. And if you ask yourself, how can this be done? Are you an owner of a plot, or a house, or an apartment, or anything? Are you an owner? Then how can you prove your ownership? You show a title. So in pretty much the same way, you have a token in your digital wallet, and you prove that it belongs to you. So what we see with blockchains is that it changes the dynamics of ownership, first of all, and rights in the world. So can I build tokens that inside them, and allow me to use this plain language so you will understand, inside them they do have shares, they do have bits of property, so let's say assets. So now what we do, we may be able to fractionalize an asset and then represent that fraction or all of the asset in a token. These are not cryptocurrencies. These are not payment.
It's a type of digital ledger that enables recording of transactions in a more in a transparent and secure way, without the need for any central authority. Under this regime, financial services firms can apply for regulatory sandboxes, which are control environments where they can test and develop DLT-based solutions without being subject to all the usual EU regulatory requirements. The sandboxes are intended to help firms experiment the DLT-based solutions in a safe and controlled manner, with the goal of identifying innovative solutions that can improve efficiency, reduce costs, and most importantly, enhance regulatory compliance. The DLT pilot regime includes an exemption of the so-called 5 million exemption threshold, which those type of firms must, the total value of the securities that they will issue must not exceed this threshold. This exemption was introduced basically to make it easier and more cost efficient for the SMEs, small and medium enterprises, to raise capital through securities offering. Overall, the DLT pilot regime that we described until now is designed to foster the innovation. It's all about innovation. It's all about technology. It's all about the future. So the DLT pilot regime, which is a pilot, it's indeed pilot regime for 6 years, in order for the EU to have some data, in order to see how this technology will go and move forward and apply it to the world, basically. So the focus is to enhance efficiency, which is what we need as business and as law firms or any kind of professionals that we're here together. Improve regulatory compliance, which is one of the most important aspects, and reduce the costs. Thank you.
Okay, we talked about tokenization. What is real estate tokenization? What is good about it and what is ugly about it?
Thank you, Sabina. So we have explained about the different types of tokens. Is this clear, or do you have any question on this? We can take any question, even as we discuss. Okay, we do have the payment tokens. These are those you see on the exchanges. And we do have the security tokens. If we tokenize real estate, this is a security token mainly, because maybe sometimes it's not, but mainly this is a security token. Therefore, why is it a security token? Because as you see, it's not Bitcoin. It's got in it something different. It's got shares, it's got rights, it's got an agreement to buy property, and any type of agreement related or relating to real estate. So real estate tokenization enables funding of projects. If you don't have the money, you just issue tokens, you raise the money. Inside the token you give out, you offer to the public, there are some rights that the token holder, the one who buys them, acquires, of course. And where does he have these tokens? In his wallet. So is he the owner of these tokens? Yes, he is the owner of these tokens. Therefore, if we fractionalize a property and each fraction is represented in one token, then we can give out these tokens through websites, we sell them publicly. Following what Panagiotis said before, we can give out tokens without the need to draft a prospectus and without the need to acquire any license by SISEC, up to 5 million. So you guys, owners of real estate, you can tokenize real estate up to 5 million without the need of any type of license or whatever. So up to 5 million, you want to start a project for 5 million and you don't have the money, You don't have the funds? Then issue tokens. Issue tokens, raise the funds. You are allowed. It is according to laws. So real estate tokenization, I don't see anything ugly or anything bad, except of the following, that the government is a little bit behind. Because we do tokenize property, but at the same time, we need to see our land registry office be automated and of course not hacked. So we need to enhance cybersecurity, and we need to even leverage these new technologies in the governmental authorities. So if something is still bad or ugly, as Sabina asked before, is this exactly. We need to see automation of things. So this is it for real estate. If you wanted to ask anything, just go on and ask. So just to clarify something that Panagiotis said before, regarding the tokenization of securities. So you understand that if you're a real estate owner and you want to tokenize property, or even if you don't have the property, you still can tokenize, huh? You tokenize your architectural plans. You tokenize what you are going to build, because you want to raise funds. Is it clear? Because some people come and ask me, do I need to have the property ready-made there to tokenize it? No. Okay. You have a question? Yes, please do.
So please, if you can explain in simple words. So let's say that Four Seasons is for a company and would like to raise capital. So how would that work? So can I issue a token that's going to be open?
What do you want to do with these funds?
To build another company?
No, it's important what you want to do, because we need to be transparent to the investors. We are offering something, they need to know exactly what are you doing with the money. To build another 10th floor? Yes, you can do it. You can issue tokens on that new building, so they will, depending on what is your plan, are you planning to rent it out? How are you planning to use it? Out of its use, you will have certain income. You will have gains, you will have income. Then they will have some share if they enable you to do it through tokenization, and if they buy these tokens inside them, they've got some agreement they made with you. So you have to honor that agreement. So we can have so many different types of agreements in that token. So it depends on the plan. So, correct. Correct. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes, yes.
Without intermediaries.
Yes, you raise your hand.
I'd like to ask about the real estate tokens. You mentioned before, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the guy that has them in his wallet, he's the legal owner.
Yes.
So right. And what is the legal ownership? Is it recorded anywhere, or is he the bearer, as in the concept of bearer shares?
We don't need to record the ownership anywhere. It is recorded on blockchains, on the blockchain technology, because we use the blockchain technology in order to issue these tokens. Therefore, we do not need anything else. It is already registered on the blockchain.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Andoni.
Is this working? Yeah. Hi, Christiana. So we spoke about this earlier, and I said it's a space that we're in.
I can't hear you very well. Something's wrong with your microphone.
I'll put that down then.
Okay.
That might be easier if we're close enough. As I said to you, it's a space that we're involved in as well and are looking at. So your land registry being behind the times, you shouldn't worry about, because ours is as well, like terribly behind the times. And that's what's key.
UK's, you mean?
Yeah.
UK's? When you say ours, you mean UK's?
Ours as in, yeah.
Okay.
Specifically in the UK is behind in this sector, and that's what's in the smart contracts. But a sort of follow-on question, what is the entity that is registered at the land registry? So we've looked at DAOs.
DAOs? Decentralized Autonomous Organizations.
And we've looked at other companies.
we are not really ready yet for
So
DAOs,
there
but
must be something that's registered at the land registry that the token owner owns bit on.
we do not do that. We do not register it on the land registry with the land registry office yet. We do not do that.
The building must be registered to
Yeah, the building is registered on the owner.
Okay.
Then the owner, would you like to say?
But
Go on.
It's an SPV, whether it's a DAO, and who has control of that. If it's a DAO, then the token owners can use it, but I clearly not ready for it. If it's not a DAO, then
Procedural reasons, for procedural reasons, we will create an SPV in order for formalities to register on the land registry, but the actual recording of transactions is from the moment that you do the transactions, and this is why the blockchain is the future, because everything is recorded.
who can appoint officers to the SPV?
Yes.
Who can?
Who? The board of directors, the company.
So not the token owners,
No.
as if they were shareholders.
Depends. It depends. Maybe you will give them rights to voting. It depends.
Depends on the agenda.
They will ask for voting.
Sometimes they don't. They want to be silent shareholders, so they're not interested to vote.
Or angel investors.
One step further, when the building is actually done and fully developed, and then there are title deeds, actual title deeds. The token owners, they take the title after all. What is going on after?
If they want to, but we're not talking about that now. It's just we're discussing the role as investors for the creation of this real estate, this property. So then at the end, then yes, they may buy, they may get the official titles. But this is not about that.
Sorry?
Because this is what you know until today, that I have an apartment and I sell to one buyer. I have a building, I sell to one company. I have commercial buildings, I sell in this way. This changes. The mindset should change. The culture should change. Now you can have access to smaller investors for little amounts, and you can raise up funds from all over, because these tokens are safe, because they are made with the cryptography science, they are encrypted. You cannot hack them. You cannot hack these assets. And if you ever heard that, no, they stole these bitcoins, Bitcoin blockchain cannot be hacked. Your not good wallets can be hacked. So you have to choose where you have them. Not the network itself, the blockchain network, the Bitcoin network, for example, is unhackable. If you ever hear that these Bitcoins were stolen, don't make the wrong impression that they can steal the Bitcoins from the Bitcoin network. They steal them from your wallets because you do not choose to have them with good custodians.
Yeah. Or they fool you. They have ways, and be careful if anyone here is dealing with cryptocurrencies, that they have ways in order to approach you. Like, let's say if you had a communication with a customer support, let's say in a wallet, for example, wallet X, someone will try to send you a message that is the CEO of that wallet X in order to lure you and take your wallet, whatever you have.
Or they will ask you to change password, and while you change the password, they hack there and they get your password.
Yeah, but itself, the Bitcoin and the blockchain is unhackable.
You have a question?
Yeah, sorry. Do I correctly understand that governmental authorities currently in Cyprus do not accept tokenization as a change of ownership? So, I mean, if you bought a percentage of a property or shares in a company through blockchain system, it will not be registered in land registry or register of companies.
Yeah, actually, this is not only in Cyprus, it's all over, to be honest. Do you know a place that they do recognize now the change of ownership for token holders? This will happen in the following way, my friend. Panayiotis talked about the DLT pilot regime. There, the token holders who have security tokens will list them. As you see listed Bitcoin and Cardano and all of these XRP and all of these coins on exchanges, you will see listed within this new law, you can have listed security tokens now. So you can have listed a token which inside it has property, and then you can trade it. So your investors can trade, and these tokens can change hands legitimately, because this is a law by Europe.
Okay, why do I ask this question is because if somebody is raising funds through tokenization,
yeah,
and he's not, say, a decent person, or he can also...
what do you mean he's not a decent person?
He can sell, say, 20% of a project through tokenization. In the same time, he can sell the same 20% by paper, standard way, and register in land registry. Will he be able to challenge through court the 20% that he bought through tokenization?
Yes, I will admit that such frauds may happen, but my friend, they can happen in the real life also. So
okay.
This is one reason why we register the agreements. If you do not register it, then you don't get specific performance. Yes.
So what do you mean? You mean once you get tokenization, you need to register the agreement in a standard way as well?
We are under pressure to proceed, so
okay.
would you like us to make
this
discussion not?
Thank you.
Yes, please.
We are not going to accept more questions. If you have more questions, you can answer later, because there is one more speech and one panel, and there is also lunch. Sorry about that.
I told you, Savas, we need more time with you. Okay. Okay then.
Thank you.
Okay, so Panagiotis, what are some of the key challenges that the financial services firms participating in the DLT pilot regime may face, and how they can address this to ensure the success of their projects?
Thank you, Zalina. The firms that participating in this DLT pilot regime may face several key challenges, which I highlighted 6 of them, which I think are the most important. First of all is, as we discussed, the regulatory compliance. Everyone is talking about compliance, regulatory frameworks, and these type of words. The DLT pilot regime provides a regulatory sandbox that allows firms to test and develop DLT-based solution without having to comply, as we said, the usual regulatory requirements. But they need to maintain certain regulatory aspects, which is the AML regulations, the counter-terrorist financing regulations, as well as any data privacy and security standards. Secondly is the technical implementation, because in order to implement this complex technicality that is coming in the real world, you have to be forward-thinking and have the key stakeholders with you in your team or in your next to you, in order to advise you for the technicalities and the implementation of this new pilot regime, the DLT. The business operation, of course, it needs to change how the business operates and how the processes are being tackled, because and it would be time-consuming as well and disruptive. But this challenge can be addressed by the firms by developing clear business use cases and train the staff accordingly in order to be able to use the systems effectively. Data privacy is another key challenge, which is very important because we're dealing with financial, personal, and sensitive data. Therefore, following the GDPR and as well as by implementing all the necessary regulations for data privacy, which we know is very important nowadays. And finally, I would like to discuss the interoperability and the scalability part, which we have to be very careful, since interoperability between DLT platforms and systems can be a challenge, particularly as there are many different DLT platforms on the market. Therefore, we have to find the correct platform that aligns with existing controls and existing softwares that can assist this technology. And finally, scalability. The scalability is a critical consideration for this DLT pilot regime, because they are intended, if they are intended to support large volume of transactions, it will be a large volume of transactions. Firms can address this challenge by designing solutions that are scalable from the outset, testing solutions thoroughly before deployment. Therefore, overall, addressing these key issues and key challenges requires a strategic approach that balances both innovation and regulatory compliance together with the implementation that we discussed. Therefore, this solution can deliver real value to the businesses, improve efficiency, reduce cost, which is something important, and finally, to be able to be transparent and regulatory compliant. Thank you.
So let me ask this, Sabina, just to close this up with this question to Sabina. Are we ready as Cyprus, are we ready to adapt to these new technological advancements, changes, whatever? Do you have any example to give to us supporting this?
Yes. Earlier, both Mr. Kokkinos and Mr. Tannousis talked about the aim of Cyprus to be established as a technological hub. We have seen that many companies choose Cyprus to relocate and operate their tech business. We have also seen that one of the key regulators in Cyprus, the Cyprus Securities and Exchange Commission, has two initiatives in place which aims to enhance this aim of Cyprus as a technological hub. Firstly, we have the Innovation Hub of CySec, in which someone can test his project as an innovative new model. And also, we had the tender for the establishment of a regulatory sandbox to enable both financial and regulatory technology. So we see that there are some important steps towards this direction. And of course, Cyprus could be benefited by such initiatives. We talked about the real estate tokenization. We could also speak about alternative investment funds tokenization, which is something that comes soon. So we see that also other authorities around the globe have taken the same initiatives. For example, the FCA has recently adopted a paper asking for the views of the market in relation to the tokenization of funds. So the units of the fund, for example, could be tokenized to represent the rights and the obligations of a unit. We could have new business models such as the digital custodians, which would be needed in order to safekeep the private keys of the tokens. We could have so many different things, and I believe that with the know-how we have in Cyprus and with all the relevant willingness of the regulators, we are going to have a very fast adoption to the new technological advancements, of course.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So we are closing this discussion. Please feel free to approach us if you want to ask anything. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you to our panelists. Now, moving on to our final speech of the day. It's a very current topic right now. It will be given by Mr. Paul Zulkin, who's the Managing Director at Quantuma. They are the other associate sponsors of this event, and in fact, Mr. Sabas tells me that they've already confirmed there will be associate sponsors for the upcoming event in November that will be held in London. And Mr. Zulkin will be talking to us about business and investment opportunities in a recessionary environment, which couldn't be more current than the political climate at the moment. So if I can welcome Mr. Zulkin to the stand, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just whilst we're waiting for the slides to come up,
which hopefully there will be in a moment, I have the utmost admiration for anybody who fully understands blockchain, crypto, etc. I don't. I'm far too thick for that. But what I can say, in my capacity as a restructuring and insolvency professional, and I deal with a lot of distressed corporate real estate, I do actually use blockchain. So I work with a particular specialist agency that runs all of its marketing on my behalf when I'm marketing an asset. All of it is effectively recorded on the blockchain. All of the interactions with all of the prospective purchasers are recorded on the blockchain. And then in this particular case, the agent themselves has the capacity to actually transact online and digitally exchange a contract. And again, all of that is recorded on the blockchain. So I'm told. What it actually means in reality, I don't know. But apparently, it's a guaranteed method of being able to demonstrate to the world that I've properly marketed an asset and I can demonstrate to people what I've done. Anyway, that's not the purpose of my speech. So I'm going to talk about, I've called it opportunity from uncertainty, because it was a bit depressing to talk about recessions and things. And certainly in the UK, we're not in a technical recession. So, I've got a clicker here for the slides, that's good. What have I done? Just switched it all off. Right, there we go. That's not a very good start, is it? So, look, first of all, on behalf of Quantuma International, I'd like to thank the organisers of today's conference for the opportunity to speak to such an esteemed audience. And my colleagues at Quantuma Cyprus are thrilled to be platinum sponsors of this fantastic event, and we're already looking forward to the London event later in the year. There's a full description of Quantuma and Quantuma Cyprus and Quantuma International in your gift packs, but I'll just quickly try to explain who we are and what it is we do. So Quantuma is a specialist international business advisory firm, and we assist corporate entities and individuals navigate transactional events and financial risk, which is sort of, doesn't really mean a lot to you probably until I explain the detail of our services, which I'll come on to do in a moment. So we operate from London headquarters. We've got 17 offices in the UK, and we've got offices in the BVI, Cayman, Poland, Cyprus, obviously, Dubai, Mauritius and Singapore, and we've also got a joint venture with a firm in Australia, which is very similar to our own firm. And we're part of a wider group called the K3 Capital Group, which is a multidisciplinary specialist business service platform, and that is ultimately owned by Sun Capital in the US, who recently took the group private. We were previously listed on the London Stock Exchange. So Quantuma, my business, we specialise our specialists provide corporate finance M&A services, domestic and international restructuring services, international and domestic insolvency implementation services, fraud investigations, international asset tracing, specialist tax structuring, which is linked to our M&A business, defensive tax services, so particularly in the UK, for any client that's got themselves in difficulty with HM revenue and customs, either knowingly or unwittingly, we will help keep them out of prison, minimise their liabilities, etc. And we also provide all forms of forensic accountancy, digital forensics, litigation support, expert witness, and expert determination. So that's broadly speaking what the firm does. There's my biography slide up there. Personally, I'd like to say I'm thrilled to be back in Cyprus. It's a nation with which I have some deep personal connections through many close Cypriot friends with whom I grew up with in North London, and that's where I still live. So I'm surrounded by lots of Cypriot people and very familiar with Cyprus. So to set the context of what I'm going to discuss, and I've probably got to do this very quickly because I think I've used half my time, I'm a restructuring and insolvency person. My perspective on the economy and investment opportunities has to be seen through that lens. I typically advise on corporate projects when something's gone wrong, but as I've explained, the broader business, we've got a corporate finance practice, they will look at the world through a very different lens. So whilst I see the bad and the ugly, they'll see the good, and they no doubt would be able to talk to you about sort of how positive investment opportunities are at the moment. So the UK, in a few words, I mean, I've sort of said there somewhat flippantly, who knows, and I think that's been alluded to previously today. It is very, very hard to actually understand what is happening in the UK at the moment. Some sectors see the glass as half empty, most, it's probably half full. I mean, certainly the businesses I advise, it's half empty, or sometimes completely empty. But most sectors, you know, see the glass as half full. And for some, it's not only full, it's overflowing. But the key message is that growth and activity may be muted, but there are always investment opportunities. The economic headwinds that we're dealing with in the UK are very, very well rehearsed and will come as no surprise. And as the Deputy High Commissioner indicated earlier, Brexit has compelled the UK to recalibrate its relationship with Euro and other major trading blocs, and there's no doubt that it's created major challenges for the UK, but also one hopes that as we recalibrate that relationship, it will create opportunities for us. Supply-side inflationary pressures are a global problem, and like most central banks, of course, the Bank of England is seeking to defeat inflation through increasing interest rates. And then when we look at geopolitical events, the UK's response to geopolitical events, such as the war in Ukraine, has directly impacted its relationship with certain nations, both positively and negatively. So on the one hand, of course, we stand united with certain nations, but that's not to say that everybody agrees with our foreign policy, and those sorts of things do have an impact on how we're seen in the world in terms of trading. And one point I would make, and I know this slightly differs from what other people have said, I do see that the lenders I work with, some of them, particularly those who are exposed to property-related real estate security, are nervous. But at the same time, there's economic hope. And in the UK, certainly lots of you sitting in the audience who are from the UK might not feel this, but we are actually a comparatively low, not as low as Cyprus, but a comparatively low tax environment. Certainly if you look at OECD data, the UK is not sort of top of the rankings when it comes to corporate taxes and personal taxes. And certainly, the longer-term will of the current government is to stimulate investment by lowering tax burden. Now, of course, we've just seen a corporation tax rise in the UK, but I think generally speaking, you know, the longer-term idea is that we do actually stimulate investment by reducing tax. But of course, you know, governments can change. That is the current position. Like Cyprus, the UK sits both geographically and metaphorically in a dynamic position, and its mature financial markets provide sophisticated structures for easy access to capital. Then, whilst we have robust, dependable, but manageable compliance and governance structures, that should be seen as a positive, providing investors with confidence when they invest in the UK. So effectively, you know, we are open to the world for business. We're a nation of entrepreneurs and creative innovators with phenomenal capabilities in tech, research, life sciences, high-tech manufacturing, the list goes on. And we're supported by some of the world's leading educational and research institutions. So what I'm going to do is just very briefly, because we don't have a lot of time, look at something a little bit more detailed with a focus towards real estate investment in the UK. The Bank of England has made it very, very clear that controlling inflation is a key priority, and we don't need to read between the lines. They've made it very clear to us that rates will not fall. Base rate in the UK will not fall as quickly as we would all like it to fall. It is not going to plummet in 4 months' time, in 3 months' time, or in 2 months' time. And actually, if you look at some of the long-term money, the 3, 5, 10-year swap rates, they're still a bit volatile, and yes, they've gone down a bit, but they go up a bit as well. We have a bit of a strange situation at the moment where swap rates and base rate are a little bit divergent. But we know for a fact that we have to drive inflation out of our economy. It's the same elsewhere in the world, and the way you do that is through interest rate rises. So I'm going to move on to look at a couple of charts which are produced by the Mortgage Lenders and Administrators Return. This is something released by the Bank of England. As you can see, that's the source there. It looks at 340 regulated mortgage lenders and administrators. And this gives some clues of investor and consumer, or these charts give some clues as to investor and consumer sentiment at the moment by looking at both borrowing volumes and the makeup of those borrowers. I've only got two charts, not a lot for you to take in necessarily, but the first one here, this is gross advances and new commitments. And obviously, so it says it's not seasonally adjusted, and one of the things we have to be mindful here is obviously it takes into account the impact of the periods where we were, coming out of lockdowns or dealing with lockdowns. But one interesting point particularly to note is that over the last 2 quarters of 2022, gross advances not only dropped, so the total amount of mortgage lending in the UK dropped, but the level of new commitments also has begun to drop quite sharply. Okay. So the follow-on consequence is potentially an expectation, and I say potentially because who can ever predict anything, but potentially an expectation within the real estate markets of some downward price pressure. And that, of course, is your opportunity. It delivers buy-side opportunities for cash-rich investors. And I think that has been alluded to before. I think the question was asked, are people able to plug the valuation gap where there isn't borrowing, lending available, whether it's from the bridges, from the traditional lenders? Can you plug that gap with equity funding? If you can, expect there to be great opportunities for real estate investment in the UK. And I know for a fact, because I have lots of Cypriot friends who are real estate investors and in that market, and often there is a big equity component to their investment, there is going to be lots of activity there. The next chart I've got here, gross advances by purpose of loan, which is quite interesting there because, let's look at the buy-to-let market, first-time buyers, remortgaging, home movers. So as lending volumes have dropped in the UK recently, it's interesting to note that the buy-to-let borrowing volume has remained comparatively consistent. This is obviously where a lot of the investor market is in the UK, a very, very robust buy-to-let market. And even though the tax structures and regimes for buy-to-let investors in the UK are far less favourable now than they were, nonetheless, people like to deploy their money into real estate assets, including residential real estate assets. So the buy-to-let borrowing markets remained comparatively consistent, and it's really a fall-off in home movers that is beginning to drive that downward pressure, or so that downward trend in borrowing volumes. So what we're seeing here is that, and you can see the sort of two lines, the red line and the yellow line, are actually counter to one another. So people aren't necessarily moving home across the UK at the moment. What they're doing is refinancing their existing lending. We've had lots of people on these incredibly, somebody used the term free money earlier on today. I mean, it almost seemed like that, didn't it, when we were all on tracker mortgages and you were a few pips above base rates and it felt like your mortgage rate was so low. Now, of course, when things get tight and interest rates start going up, nobody wants to be on a tracker mortgage, people start fixing their mortgages. So we're beginning to see that remortgage market, and this is people fixing onto much more expensive fixed rate mortgages. That, I think, as well, is actually going to drive some people out of their existing homes, because a lot of people in the UK, and believe me, I say this as a restructuring professional, I see how people live, pretty hand to mouth. What they earn, they spend every month. Well, if your mortgage goes up by a few £100s a month, and you can't find that few £100s a month, you might actually find you either have to voluntarily sell your property and downsize, so there could be some downward price pressure because there could be additional stock on the market, or lenders will eventually begin to enforce. Lenders take security for a reason, and whilst they don't like doing it, they will begin to enforce. And I work with a lot of lenders on property enforcement stuff, and I am beginning to see lenders, as I said, are getting twitchy. I'm working on live enforcement projects at the moment, commercial stuff, quite significant, large stuff. And some of those lenders, particularly those that we would describe as the challenger banks, who went guns blazing into property lending, maybe their underwriting processes were less robust than they might have been because they were looking for market share. Now they're actually beginning to sort of really worry about what they've got in their portfolio. So, as I said, property owners have been comfortable with variable rates, pegged to base rates are putting under pressure, they're remortgaging. There's pressure on owners who increasingly can't afford their borrowing, and that could increase volumes of stock on the market. So, in short, and I know I've got to come to an end, I think I've nearly got to glare there. In short, there are definite opportunities. So volatility and uncertainty creates opportunity. You've just got to get your pricing right. A smart investor just got to work out what your pricing is, work out what the IRR is of your investment, and even though we're in an unstable and potentially recessionary environment, there will be opportunities. As I said, post-Brexit, the UK is recalibrating its medium to long-term economic strategy. We will continue to be an attractive place to invest. And in terms of real estate, I think there'll be well-priced opportunities for both long-term yield and also capital growth investment plays. That's it. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to ask me, but otherwise I'll be around later on today. And once again, thank you very much to the organisers for allowing us to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So the last panel of the day is panel 5, titled Cyprus Real Estate Investment Opportunities. So I call to the stand Mr. Brad, Business Development Manager at Corantina Homes, Mr. Theodoru, Head of Sales and Business Development at Property Gallery Developers and Constructors Limited, Mr. Savidis, Partner and Director of Michael Kyprianou & Co. LLC Paphos Office, Mr. Nicolaou, who is the Director at the FuturEstate Alliance, Mr. Zavos, Managing Director at Hybrid Lawtech, and Mr. Nicolaou, Partner of the Audit Services at EY Cyprus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon from my side as well. I'm Nick Nicolaou from EY. I'm an audit partner in the Nicosia office, specializing in real estate and hospitality. Before starting, I just want to thank Savas for these initiatives and these events in London and now in Cyprus. We've been sponsoring for a long time, and we're happy to continue to sponsor as EY such events. So we are last, but not least. I don't know why Savas always allows us at the end to do these presentations. Everyone is looking the time to go for lunch. But anyway, we will promise to be short. Our topic is real estate in Cyprus. We've heard a lot about real estate in the UK, but real estate in Cyprus is also a very important sector for the Cyprus economy. It's shown strong resilience with the challenges we've had, either COVID, the war in Ukraine, and it's still strong. And this is what we are going to discuss with our distinguished guests. I think with introductions we've made already. He was Theodoru, Head of Sales in Property Gallery, Raj Bra from Corantina Homes, Alexis Nicolaou, he's not a relative, but he's a partner at Grant Thornton, Head of Blockchain, which is very interesting. I don't know if the previous panel had any relation to what we are going to discuss now.
Perfect introduction.
Marios Zavos from Cubic Wood, and also Mr. Savas Savidis, a partner, Michael Kyprianou in the Paphos office, also supports Paphos, but I told him Paphos will not win the cup, so just to make sure. You disagree? Okay. So who will go first? Raj, you want to make an introduction and then we can...
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I want to thank Mr. Savas for arranging this platform. Now, we heard a lot about what's happening in different parts of the world with real estate. I just want to tell you, Paphos Real Estate is fantastic. It's doing great. We as a company had the best year last year in 22, and we have started very well this year as well. Just to give you a brief introduction about us, we are one of the largest real estate firms, developers in Cyprus, and definitely one of the biggest in Paphos. We are building resorts, we are building hotels, we are building luxury villas, apartments, commercial. We have a very large portfolio. I'm Raj, as we discussed. I'm the business development manager for the company. I just want to give you some information about our ongoing projects and our current developments, but I'll be very brief, I promise you that. As a company, as I said, we are building the resorts, and most of them are seafront. This is our flagship project, Cape St. George's. I don't know if you've heard about it. This is the largest seafront resort in Cyprus. This is a short video for you. So Cape St. George's, as I was telling you, is the largest seafront resort in Cyprus. We're talking about almost 2.5 kilometers of seafront. There are 220 luxurious villas, which are all completed and delivered. We have recently added a 5-star hotel as well. There are 10 dining options, one of the largest spas of the country. We have a lot of other facilities like a horse ranch. We have all the facilities which we offer in the resort, which are 5-star, starting from any kind of maintenance, concierge service, babysitters, whatever you name. This is a very exclusive lifestyle project, very unique development. The price ranges is from 2 million up to 25 million. And most of it is delivered, as I told you. We welcome all of you. Hope you can visit us in the Cape St. George's Resort. Moving forward. Now this is our other major development, what we are building right now. It's almost finished. It's called Soho Resort. If you know a little bit about Paphos real estate, you're not allowed to build high-rise in Paphos. You're allowed maximum 5 floors. We are the first and only developer. We are building 16 floors. We have 2 towers. One of them is already completed. It's again a seafront resort located in the heart of Paphos. Fantastic location with 20 villas. Again, the same concept with the resort, all the 5-star facilities, including restaurant, spa, gym, and all the other concierge services and other amenities. Now, Now, we are very proud to launch another seafront project in Paphos again located right in the heart of Paphos. It's a combination of villas and apartments. The same concept like Cape St. George's, but in a smaller scale, where again we have the clubhouse, the concierge, all the five-star facilities and amenities. We have just launched this project a couple of weeks ago and it's already doing fantastic. Now, as a company, we not only have seafront resorts and projects, we also deal with apartments, with smaller villas to cater for all age groups. We also have commercial real estate. Some of the options are just here. So this is one of the projects, Golden Views, where the prices, they start from 350,000, where we have townhouses and smaller villas. This is another project, Akamas, where we have fantastic villas, where they are located very close to Cape St. George's. The price is around 850,000. I'm just telling you about prices just to give you a range, that we have all range of different properties, yeah? These are some of the apartment blocks in the Paphos town. And I just want to conclude very quickly with my presentation. My colleague Angelos and I, we are here. Any more information we can give you, we'll be very happy to provide you. But honestly, we would like to welcome you to Paphos, to Cape St. George's, for you to see actually what we have managed to build. And I'm sure you will be delighted to be there. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Raj. Now I confirm that the Captain George is an excellent resort. Very nice. I've been there, yes, already. Do you share the view that our the real estate in Cyprus is resilient, and even though we had challenges, turmoil, with COVID, or it's still strong?
100%.
100%. And Paphos, Nicosia and Limassol are leading the way with the contract sales from, statistics that we have. But Paphos is not far behind. So why Paphos? What is attracting?
I must say, number one reason must be the people.
People, okay. Yes, I'm also from Paphos, so I agree with that.
I meant generally Cypriots, not only Paphos. I agree 100%. The real estate market in Cyprus is very resilient, is doing amazing. Now, probably number of contracts, maybe more, but you also have to see the value of the contracts, and Paphos is doing great in that. Paphos has its own international airport. There are a lot of golf courses there. There is something for every age group. It's a kind of city which has probably one of the longest seasons as well when it comes to tourism. So a lot of people make Paphos not only as a holiday home, as a permanent home as well. It's very safe. Generally, Cyprus is very safe, but Paphos is very, very safe to raise a family. So people, we have seen a lot of companies now are also coming to Paphos and forming headquarters there, and they're bringing all their executives. So that's also driving the demand for the rental market.
Correct. So one of the drivers for Cyprus real estate is headquartering, relocating. We've seen that the last few years, it's growing a lot. And Limassol is leading the way, but also Paphos. And your niche is luxury. So what are these affluent investors looking for? And
from the previous years, what we have seen that the affluent buyers, for them, buying a house is not only enough. It's not it. They want it. They want the property, especially in a country like Cyprus, to be attached with all the facilities and services. And that's where we come in, and that's what we have managed to provide to the market. People nowadays, they have very busy schedules, and when they come and buy a luxury property, they don't want any headaches. They don't want to deal with day-to-day of the maintenance of the property. So that's what we do for them. That's where we have a large team in-house. There's nothing outsourced. We have our own team of maintenance, housekeepers, pool cleaners, concierge, drivers, babysitters, everything in-house. So they have only one number to deal with all their requests. If they want to order a pizza, or they want something to be fixed in their house. Everything has one number.
Great, thank you very much, great. Fibos, you want to, conscious of time, maximum 2 hours, not the
2 hours minimum.
So a very good afternoon, dear delegates, Mr. Sabas, dear colleagues here on the panel. My name is Fibos, and as I promised, I will keep my slot in 2 hours minimum. So, you're welcome. To all the friends coming from UK, I believe you enjoy this beautiful weather today, not as much yesterday. So enjoy your stay in Cyprus and make it productive through this session today. On behalf of Property Gallery, I'm going to take a few minutes of your time to show you a display of our showcase of our developments that we have in Limassol.
So your time is up, so.
Yeah. Sorry for that. Okay, technology. Right, okay, so we have a small issue. I will wave my hand to the IT gentleman and we'll move on. So Property Gallery, we are a property developer located in the city of Limassol. We have been following the comments of the panelists today. We hear how, let me call the word hot, is the market nowadays. As Property Gallery, we started developing in the city approximately 20 plus years ago. We are a strong brand. We focus our developments in the city of Limassol and some surrounding regions. In the following slides, I will elaborate and share with you our ongoing developments. We start our business as a real estate residential property developer, but we hear a lot about headquartering, relocation. So Property Gallery was one of the pioneers in, allow me to say, Limassol, that we have the vision as a developer, and we have diversified our business with retail and commercial developments as well. We are an award-winning developer, which is something reflected through our projects, through sustainability and innovation, the way that we build, the way that we design our projects. So I would take some time now to go through a showcase of our portfolio. At the moment, we have ongoing developments, both residential and commercial. We have ongoing developments being off-plan, under construction, and key-ready completed projects, which is very hard, very difficult to find them in Limassol nowadays. Our developments, we have small-scale, medium, and large-scale developments. Starting with the commercial part, introducing Unit, which is a stunning development in the city center of Limassol, Magariou Avenue. For the fellow Limassolians, you are all familiar with the location. This project, it is under construction, and the development is commencing very fast. Introducing another development which is on the pipeline, city space, another commercial development. We follow the trends in Cyprus and Limassol. We had this morning session, Mr. Tanusis talking about the headquartering relocation. So we have the flexibility as property developers in Limassol to see the market trends and follow the trends and meet the demand of the investors. So going to the next slide, allow me to introduce our residential developments, introducing Evergreen. It's a small development of 2 blocks of apartments located not very far from this location in Agios Tichonas. This is I will call it a small range development, suitable for investors that they want to go through the permanent residency program, or for investors with a small ticket, highlighting that the project is almost key ready and looking to the trends and the demand in Limassol, segmenting foreign young professionals. Investment at Evergreen can make immediate income producing properties for the investors. Going to another region of Limassol, the area of Platres, we have experienced in the recent years that the mountain range of Troodos is becoming a resort. Platres is a famous destination for Limassolians. We see the road network, the infrastructure connecting, which on the under construction, the pipeline for Troodos for the mountain range will have better connectivity for that location. As Property Gallery in the area of Platres, we are involved with leisure and hospitality and also sport facilities, and also we're developing real estate, residential. Greenwood is a nice small development of villas, nicely designed, this pitch roof Scandinavian style. And the colors, the elements, the building materials is something that we can see also in this slide. It's something that is blending nicely and beautiful with the surrounding area and environment. Coming back to Limassol, the city of Limassol, introducing Majestic Villas, which is a stunning development, again, not very far from this location in Agios Tichonas. We can see it's a mountain location with unobstructed views of the surrounding area. Actually, from the project, you are on a straight line approximately 2 kilometers from Four Seasons, where we are at the moment. Our architects, they have used contemporary design with the parcel located in the slope of the mountain. They have placed the villas in such a way and designed them in such a way so all villas can benefit of the nice views of the surrounding area. This is another slide of the Majestic Villas. Another development coming to the Asudi area in Limassol, we have Signature, which is a premium tower of 15 floors. The project is currently under construction. We see that there is high demand for such developments in the city of Limassol, referring to high value, high-end developments. Obviously, in the recent years, we have experienced challenges, but we see that Cyprus, being a stable environment and business-friendly, attracting FDI, foreign direct investment, we are adding value with landmark developments such as the Signature. And coming to Limassol, last but not least, this is our landmark development, the Property Gallery. It's very proud to introduce to the audience today. Limassol, inspired by Stark, Philip Stark, the French well-known international accredited designer. This is the first and only branded beachfront resort development in Cyprus. It's a project with 81 villas. We have 7 towers with 86 apartments. This development, it's on the stage that we start the infrastructure, the development. It took some time to receive the planning and building permits, so that was a difficult part. And we are on the stage now of doing pre-launching sales. And this summer we will start the construction of the residential facilities. Looking to the particulars of the project, it will include a clubhouse with a spa, with a gym, cinema, business center. Obviously, spoiling the gentlemen, there will be a cigar lounge to have the business lobby. The outdoor facilities and also amenities will include green areas, swimming pool, and mini golf, tennis court. So it's a project that is very unique. It will be a landmark not only for the city of Limassol, but also I believe for Cyprus and the region. It's an honor for Property Gallery developing such a project with Philip Stark, U Limassol. Here we can see an impression from one of the towers. It has been designed in such a way so the tenants can benefit and take advantage of the stunning views. This is another impression from the apartments during the golden hour, the sunset. Moving to the next slide, this is an impression of the beachfront villas, giving the value that the investors are looking to have in the city of Limassol for such range projects. And this is the last impression I have for the villas. Thank you very much for your time today. It was a little bit tricky with the technology, but we managed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, great. Very good figures. Very quick.
Real asset tokenization, upon which the previous panel so kindly touched upon extensively, is the process of creating a digital asset, a token, which represents an interest in property, direct or indirect. All this made possible because of the so much referred to blockchain technology. Blockchain being a method of storing information on a immutable, transparent, distributed manner. And smart contracts, of which mention was also made. Smart contracts being self-executed contracts reflecting the agreement, the terms of the agreement between the parties, written into code and stored on the blockchain. Now, the benefits for the real estate professionals, first of all, access to capital worldwide, access to those smaller investors, the investors that cannot afford a 500K property on their own, but have 5, 10, 50, 100K to invest in property. A reduction in operating expenses through efficiency, because at the end of the day, as it was mentioned earlier, blockchain came about to cut out the middleman, whether that's a trust administrator, a trust operator, missed the word. Also, it gives access, that's one thing that was not mentioned during the panel earlier, gives access to property developers to a pool of liquidity coming from the crypto side. It gives the ability to tap into this area. I know that a number of developers here in Cyprus, although none of them will admit it in case their banker is listening, have been selling property through crypto. Asset tokenization makes it easier to tap into that pool of funds the crypto pool of funds in a much more secure and acceptable manner. And finally, it allows the developer to maintain control over the management decisions of the project. When it comes to investors, obviously it gives me the ability, me that has 5 or 10 or 50,000 in the bank, to tap into this booming sector, the real estate sector, that has over time proven to be one of the most secure sectors as far as returns are concerned. Also, I think it was mentioned on the previous panel when they talked about the DLT pilot regime, that it gives me, the investor, access to a secondary market where I can actually sell my tokens, increasing my my liquidity, my ability to not wait until either if the project is finished in order to sell my tokens, or when I get back my IRR for which I invested into the project, but if the project is performing well, the token is appreciating, so I have the ability to actually sell that token on the open market, on the exchange. There's a number of considerations. There's the legal process, which is the choice of jurisdiction for the project, the choice of the right legal vehicle which to host the project, and the design of the fundraise. There's also the technical process, which is the automation of the contract workflow, the investor onboarding, and the customization of the payment and custody. Use the right media in order to reach out to that investor. What about us? Who are we? Who are the Alliance? We're a team of professionals, experts in real estate, in blockchain technology, in law and regulation, in business, in marketing, in Web3 marketing, that have successfully completed in our own right, our own sector, each one individually, a number of successful tokenization projects. We recognize the potential of real estate tokenization and the revolution that blockchain technology is actually bringing about. We provide our clients tailor-made solutions to meet their unique needs and goals and help them successfully achieve a successful project in tokenization. Who we are? We are Grant Thornton, we are Christiana Aristidou LLC, the Hybrid Law Firm, and Zoltar, a marketing agency, a Web3 marketing agency from Greece. We offer a holistic and comprehensive service. We are a one-stop shop for all the needs of a successful tokenization project. We take care of the business side, we take care of the technical side, obviously the law and regulation, and we sell the product. We actually reach out to those investors through our marketing experts. Some of the services we actually offer: consulting, tokenization, issuance of the tokens, corporate management, trading, Web3 marketing, and of course, law and regulation. Thank you very much. That was short and sharp. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Very interesting. So, what do you see the challenges of this, exciting modern way of owning real estate? I mean, for example, the legal framework or other challenges?
I think someone actually mentioned in the previous panel, yes, the legal framework is always an issue. Christiana, some news fresh off the press today, the EU, the Parliament actually voted MiCA into law. So, that's good news. Yes, the existence of a legal framework always helps the adoption of any new product, especially a technology product. Another challenge is it's people's knowledge of what's this thing. A lot of people associate the technology with Bitcoin, with the fluctuation in the prices, the volatility of the crypto assets, and they don't see the utility behind what this technology is offering. The smart contract, the ability to know that something is real and something exists. Why? Because it's written on an immutable.
Invest in a fund, for example, and own part of this building, for example, via the fund. So what's the benefit of
comparison? Well, first of all, the investment ticket and lock-in period of a private property fund, for example, is much higher than it is with an STO. Also, the distribution method and the secondary value of such a fund are more administratively burdensome than a security token offering, leading to reduced liquidity and increased inefficiencies that at the end of the day is where the blockchain.
So less admin. Less admin?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Very interesting. Thank you. Marius, you want to?
So hi everyone, my name is Mario Zavos. I'm happy to have you all here, being a great part of this great and thriving association. Thank you, Savas, for everything and for the event. For the time left, I'm going to give you a very brief description on the decision-making process of the property market in correlation with the interior design. Now, the previous speakers have already mentioned a few factors affecting the buyer's decision-making. And price can be, of course, the major factor, whether that concerns a permanent residence, a holiday flat, or even an investment property bought by consideration of a prudent and wise investor. Location is, of course, another factor, whether that is going to be for, let's say, a rainy or a sunny choice, if we can take that comparison. I'm sure the previous speakers have already mentioned the advantages of both options. We have safety. This is another factor, this is a twofold factor for me, which concerns mainly the safety of the region the investment is going to take place, but also it concerns about the safety and the reputation of the seller who is going to provide this property. This is very important for a potential buyer. The infrastructure of the city, of course, previous speakers have already mentioned a few things about this. Concerns about the technology, the digitalization, public services, hospital, and health system, and education, of course. And we should not also meet the quality and the special features of the property really offered to the client. Now, going to the current trends, we are all aware that we are not, we don't have any more easy access to cheap labor and cheap raw materials, because not only because of the war and COVID, but mainly because of scarce resources. So what do actually companies really have to seek is to offer their potential client the real value for money. And what do we actually mean by the word real? They have to seek and disseminate their differentiating factor towards this direction through various variables. Now, these variables can be a lot of things that a property seller can think of, but one major variable that we sometimes forget about is interior design, where a few companies have managed to be heading towards this direction. And this direction is something that potential buyers are giving a lot of attention nowadays. Because, let's face it, you are making a viewing. You open the entrance door of a property. What is your first impression? Floor tiles, painted walls, aluminium windows, and of course the woodwork. Now this is where some companies are concentrating on providing such a project. And an example of such a company can be ourselves, Cubic Wood, where we supply kitchens, wardrobes, and doors. We provide also the fitting. We are operating mainly in Cyprus and London. We have recently started a couple of more projects in other European cities. We only work under wholesale terms. Maybe I can expand on this later on. And because of the 4th generation production units our suppliers have, we are nowadays able to provide customizations on a minor cost. Now, going to our philosophy, I name it as cubic hexagon philosophy. Hexagon, for the most of you know, that comes from the word hexi, which means 6. So we have the 6 sides of our cube, which is perfection, beauty, energy, existence, sustainability, and life, which is the epitome of all the 6 values that we share. And when I say about sharing, is sharing through appreciation to our clients, quality and design through our product, the dedication to our suppliers, authenticity of who we are and what we truly offer to our client, knowledge through our stakeholders in environmental matters, and of course sharing, communication, and share. Now, you may be thinking of why are we stuck on this word, share. We are stuck on this value because we really believe in sharing all the information we know and we have gained through the years to our stakeholders. And believe me, if you do that, you can find out at the end of the day that sharing is caring, caring to your stakeholders. And that does not lead us anywhere else than caring is always a winning situation. Now, being a proud father of 2 great adolescent children, I could have shared with you the pictures of my boys and girls, but let's face it, now I'm going to share with you some of the babies residing to London and Cyprus. That's how I call my projects anyway. Briefly, I'm mentioning some examples here. We have the high pressure laminate kitchens in Black Groove Handle, a nice project in Southgate. High gloss lacquered kitchens. This is a nice mansion we have recently renovated with a mirror sliding doors in titanium finish aluminium frames. Some 3D laminate doors, matte lacquered doors in Kenton. Some nice interior fittings here in Maidavale. And a 4-story building in Battersea where we provided laminate walnut wardrobes. Some examples in Limassol and generally Cyprus, the typical white gloss lacquer kitchen, the shaker, solid wood ashwood frame, matte lacquer kitchens with linear handle, the interior fittings again, now this is becoming very fashionable now, the vertical stripes, leg stripes in the interior of the unit. A special request from a client with a RAL scale color on his wardrobes, having also the high-end option we also can offer to our clients. This is a matte glass kitchen on a relatively green color. Thank you all for your attention. I hope I was brief enough for everybody. I'm more than happy to hear from you at the end of the day and of the presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Many thanks, Marius. Very good, thank you. Just one question. You mentioned obviously cost and trying to reduce cost, which is very important, but still, high quality. We must maintain the high quality. And you mentioned also wholesale. I mean, can you expand a bit on that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, what do we mean by wholesale? Okay, we provide our services and products first of all, the transportation cost is always a pass-through net transportation cost to the client. So how much does it cost? The cost is there. There is no margin on this cost. Secondly, we run in wholesale terms, and what do I say about this is we don't run a showroom. So we work with the special close connections with our clients, and I believe this is a mutual, two-way beneficial for both of us, and we pass the savings to the end client again. Now, about the cost, we try to keep this high standard by offering our clients the 20, 22, 24 thickness, millimeter of thickness of the doors. We stick on the top high-end quality soft close systems from Austria, which is the Bloom brand. And we have a huge variety of handles, of groove handles, and laminates as well. And now we pay a lot of attention to the environmental certifications that our suppliers are giving us, and because this is now very important, and some developers have started asking about this because they want to also give this feature, let's say, to their clients. We are talking about the FSC certification, which is the Forest Stewardship Council, which is responsible for the world's forests, and also the CARP 2 certification, which controls the low emissions of formaldehyde, which is a toxic contaminant, but if you have these certifications, it's very good that you can also pass them to your customers.
Thank you very much, Marius. Great, thank you. Sava, so you have the honor to be the last speaker of the day. Obviously, for a real estate transaction, we need a lawyer. So,
yes.
Explain to us.
Nick, to answer your question, why we are the last panel, Sava, it is, I think I have the answer for that.
I have the answer as well.
Okay. Let me, my logic on it. I think because I'm from Paphos, Paphos already, elected a president, elected an archbishop, and also we're going to get, the Paphos FC is going to get the champions. Rush, by the way, Garantina is supporting Paphos FC. So the reason is because you left us last, so you're going to be one of the most successful seminars for the association, correct?
Yeah, actually, the last panel should be an interesting panel, not that the other panels are not interesting, but I know with the Sabbath Savid finishing as the last, but not least anyway, the people will go to have the dinner, the lunch, with more enthusiasm.
Of course, yes. First above all, it was supposed to finish at 1:30 and it's almost 4 and people are still here. Well done to all of you. Right. Yeah, being a lawyer. Okay, I'm just going to start by saying one small story. 25 years ago, when I entered my first lecture in a lecture room, I remember that the lecturer, the first question that he asked is, how many of you, all the students that was in the lecture room, how many of you really wants to become lawyers? And then everyone's put their hands up. Then the second question he said is, how many of you are really ready to change your mindset, to change your character, to change as persons? And then you saw that almost half of them, they put their hands down. Reasons why he asked that question, that lecturer, it makes sense to me after so many years practicing law. And the reason is because every time that someone sees a beautiful house, then what I see is what is the legal grounds behind that house. When someone sees a location, then I think, okay, what is the density on this area? When someone sees, you know, a dream house and they see that kids running around the family house, then I think, maybe a future divorce case. Yeah. Lucy's putting her hands up, yeah. Yeah, indeed, dealing with property market, all these years, I see that we've been very lucky in Cyprus generally that the governments, through the years, they realized the importance of property on the economy. And through the years, they had introduced bills and changes on regulations and on the laws, even the case law, because we're a common law country. We see that the approach generally that they follow is the fact that it's more friendly this way in order to protect the buyers and also to assist and help in a way as well the professionals dealing with the property market. By saying that, through the years I saw as well from my experience that the system itself in a way had rejected those that they are not really concentrate on the property market to be a real professionals, and we saw that companies that presented themselves as well today, they had managed to establish themselves and create such a good project, which is very high demanding at the moment in the market. Now, this shows in a way that the law the way that it's been amended and the fact that new restrictions and new regulations is imposed, it's pushing over to the property developers basically to concentrate only on a professional way of approaching things. Just to give you some statistics taken by the Land Register Office, there is 17 billion property sales recorded by the Land Register Office for the period between 2018 to January to 2023. So you can see that the numbers are growing and going up. So you cannot, I mean, the government cannot just stand up and just watching the numbers from the moment that the property market is basically boosting over the economy. One of these nice developments and changes in the law is the way that now the law is giving the opportunity and the chance even to a buyer to secure himself, even in a situation that he had made the mistake, let's say, that not to appoint a lawyer from the beginning to do the due diligence on the property. By saying that, the government has introduced what we call the trap buyers procedures, which basically it allows people that they've been trapped in situations where they cannot get their title deeds in their hands. They gave them a pathway to apply through the Land Register Office and obtain the deeds. Previously I said as well that the courts generally, they are approaching the whole things in a very friendly way, and this is the reasons why we saw in the recent years, and when I say in the recent years, in the last 2-3 years, that even the court, they didn't hesitate to find a lawyer professionally negligent in cases that he fails to advise his clients about the whole transactions on the property. And we saw, I mean, it's quite revolutionary for the Cyprus facts at the moment that finding a lawyer professional negligence, this has a lot of consequences to the lawyers and to the lawyer society in general. Moving on and concentrate mostly about what the property is doing on the Cyprus economy. One of the most important projects that is being adopted in the Cyprus legal systems is what we call the permanent residence program, which at the moment is standing one of the best programs amongst the other European countries, I have to confess, which basically is giving to third country nationals the opportunity to obtain a permanent residence in Cyprus by investing over on a property up to the 300,000 euros, which applies only, however, to new projects, which again, it shows the government's commitment to support the developers with the new projects and not only just supporting the resales and the properties that they already been in the market for a long time. The government's as well's approach to the whole thing can be seen on the way that they changed as well the whole process of going through the immigration authorities, and the attempt to speed up the whole process of obtaining permanent residence, which are quite promising for Cyprus. I mean, this can be done in a times of 3 months. Someone can get the permanent residence for him and his family. I'm not saying that everything is perfect in this country. I'm not saying that we don't have our issues and our problems, but the most important thing is that at least we're recognizing our problems and we trying our best in order to change them and move forward for the better future for Cyprus. And I honestly believe that the beautiful locations of Cyprus, the beauty that Cyprus is offering at the moment, which is a country which we all know that we don't have a heavy industry or anything else to sell in inverted commas at the moment in this country. Property market is one that is boosting the economy very well, and this is the reasons again why they introduced what we call the fast-track business activations mechanism, which we had during this conference, which again with the intention for these companies to bring their headquarters over in Cyprus, which again is linked to the property in a way that they need premises in order to establish a business, they need properties in order to rent for their staff. So again, it's a very close connections to the whole thing. Last, and I'm going to leave you alone so everyone can go and join the late lunch. Now, the properties at the moment, even though they're doing quite well in Cyprus, we are in the very good positions as well as to say that even though there is a lot of strict regulations in relations with money laundering and the fact that now it's not so easy for someone to bring funds from abroad to invest over in Cyprus, as one of the largest law firms in Cyprus, which we dealt with a lot of when the Cyprus investments program was on, I have to confess that even though those regulations was very strict and still they are strict, okay, it works. Don't get to the don't put yourselves to the situations where on several occasions we hear in the news that you know, there is restrictions imposed, that there is the European Union had listed Cyprus as a country where there is a lot of restrictions around that. I honestly believe that if you follow the regulations and if you really complied with the letter of the law, I don't see a way why not to be done and not to be achieved. And proudly I would say that from the moment that you follow the regulations, then you are helping the country in all. Because don't forget that if we're going to get us a bad reputation as Cyprus, then it's affecting the pockets of all of us. And definitely we don't want that. So why not then just follow the restrictions, just follow the regulations, just follow the case law, and then I'm sure that everything would be brilliant, because this country through the years had managed to be standing very well, even though all the difficulties and the fact that we still occupied as country, but we're still standing very well. Thank you all. I'm not going to take more of your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Shabazz. Thank you very much. Just one or two clarifications, questions. I mean, you touched upon the legal framework. What do you think? Does it need some changes to maybe protect buyers? Is it friendly in relation to other countries as well? And also, there's a term, blocked title deed. I mean, can you also elaborate a bit on
yes.
that?
Okay. Yeah. As I said, I mean, the approach of the government at the moment is to help those people that they've been blocking in situations where for years they bought a property with the promise that they're going to get a title deed. And at the end of the day, 10, 20, even 20 years after, they find out that there is no title deed available. Mainly for two reasons. One, because the property was mortgaged before they buy it. And secondly, because there was no any planning permit or building permit, or in a situations where basically the constructor failed to follow the regulations imposed by the planning and building authorities. Now, those that they bought properties prior to 2016, now they have the right in order to apply through the Land Register Office or what we call the trap buyers procedures. And from the moment that they are able to prove that they have paid in full the purchase price of the property, then they can bypass any mortgages or any other encumbrances imposed on the property and claim for their title deed. And it went a step ahead also, that in the situations where, let's say that the developer, the constructor failed to follow the regulations to issue separate title deeds, so basically failed to submit to the Land Register Office all the necessary documents for the Land Register Office to issue title deeds, then you can apply again through the Land Register Office, and then the Land Register Office will start the process themselves in order to issue title deeds. Then the title deeds will be issued in the name of the developer, and through the trap buyers procedure, then the title deeds can be transferred into the buyer's name.
They can be unlocked and they can...
Correct, yes.
That's good.
Yeah, because Nick, don't forget that the government wants that because they're getting a lot of fees from the transfer fees. Correct. So it was a way as well for money to come into the government.
And what do you think should change in the legal framework? I mean, in general, do you think it's sufficient as it is in general?
No, we still need a lot of improvements, and one of those which they are on the table moment is to speed up the whole process of issuing the title deeds. So let's say that from the moment that you buy a property and from the moment that the permits are on place, then the whole process of issuing title deeds to take maximum a year. Okay, so if we can manage to do that, which this is the way that we're moving forward at the moment, that it will be brilliant because we're going to put behind us all these people now around the world that they are accusing Cyprus that never issued title deeds.
Okay, thank you very much, all of you. We have the honor to be last. Savas, do you want to make a closing remark, or
okay.
It's okay? All right, so we...
Yeah, you can say what is the menu, Savas.
Officially, we close the proceedings.